Welcome back, and in the previous lesson we planned out what our services page should look like, and we're going to be using cards. So we've already set up the services page and we're all ready to go to start building this out. And of course, I know my drawings are fairly rough. They're just really quick drawings to get a generalized idea of what we want to display on the page. And obviously, depending on what type of website you're building, you may display it differently. So this lesson will really illustrate how we can use cards when we're developing out our web projects. And cards in Bootstrap really give us a great way to basically design what we want to output and really output in a nice format and fashion. So what we want to do, let's start out with, and we're going to start out with a container. So much like what we've done with the other sections, the idea is the same, that we start out with a container and then next we turn to the grid. So the grid is usually the default way to structure your content. So usually the next step is when we're placing content within a grid, and essentially pretty much anything can be thought of as a grid. So when we look at the services, we can see this is a grid. So we've got basically 3 rows, 2 columns, and then we've got the card information inside of those. So it's as easy as that in order to kind of plan that out. So we know the next step is that we need to build out our columns. So the columns are going to be 6. So let's set a size, so MD6. So that's our breaking point. We could also use LG, we could use SM, we could use MD. So there's various sizes that we can make use of. So next, we want to identify our card. And just as we did in the previous lesson, usually the best way to go, because these are very similar, so we want to have them all looking roughly the same. So you build out one and then you copy and paste that. So basically you set up a basic template and then you use that in order to build out the rest of your cards. So really the focus is build one really nice and neatly, get it presenting the information as needed, and then you can take it from there and simply copy and paste. So we want to have images on there. So for cards, we've got a default class, which is img top, which allows us to place an image on the top. So this is source, and we're going to use placehold it again. So just get that URL, so placehold it, and let's do this one. So do 500 by 300. And we'll close that off. So that we've got our image, and cards are structured in the same way that your website is. So we've got our head area, we've got a body area for the card. So we've got a few different options when it comes to cards. So next, let's do card body. And this is where the core of your content for the card goes. So any information, if you have any titles or anything like that, you can add that as well. So sometimes we use the heading. So maybe heading H4 and card title. So this is service number 1. And also depends on what types of services obviously you're offering. Paragraph, and then what we have left is card text. So this is all of that information, that blah 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 information about the service. Find out more, it's the best, blah blah blah. So there we go. So let's open that up and see what that looks like. So know that we build that out. So we've got our first card there. So that looks, that represents the image there. It's half the size of the screen, and we can have all the services. So that's all we really need to do. And now we can simply grab that and duplicate it out. Now you do have an option here as well. So if, for instance, we know that we're allowed to have a column up to 6 columns for each one of the Bootstrap grids, but we can also add in even more. So basically, if we wanted to, we could simply, we don't have to redo the rows, and we could just add in the columns as needed. So add in all the different items. And this is great if we've got the content coming in dynamically, because then we just simply need to loop through until our content is finished. So basically what I'm saying is you might not actually know how many services you're offering until you get to the point of outputting it. And you want to have the dynamic ability of adding more and updating it if needed. So I'm just adding in some additional text there so that it is different. So always be ready in case you need to make some updates. Flexibility for your design is really crucial. So there we go. So we've presented all of the services there. And maybe what we want to do at the bottom, so maybe we want to add some padding there at the bottom so it's not sitting right at the bottom there. So padding, bottom. So with cards, you also have a number of options on the Bootstrap website. You can go over to the feed. You can add in headers. You can add in and really customize the way that the cards come out. So again, it's up to you and how you want to present your content. So go ahead and create your own services page and try to use the cards. And if you need more information on the cards, also card header, great way to present your content. You can also add a footer as well within the cards. So a lot of options when it comes to cards. So there's card footer, card header. So you can really customize them and make them look fantastic. So again, try it out for yourself. And in the next lesson, we're going to be finishing off this project by updating and creating that contact page. So that's coming up.